Hello, Dwi. Hello, Vedant. Welcome to another episode. And today's episode might link with the last episode that we did, Vedant, where we talked about why people feel hopeless when they consume information of this amount. And something very similar happened when Ajit Pawar, one of the biggest political figures in India, was in a plane crash, and that was a result of his demise. And there was a lot of reaction, and I spoke with many people from different backgrounds, and I tried to ask them, why do you feel sad about a death of someone you haven't ever met or you have just seen on TV? And there were many uh, answers. Some of them said that he was a political figure that really did the work, and I also understood that he kind of had a huge cult like following, and that is not just people from Baramati or people who he has helped, but overall from all economic spectrum, he had a huge following. And some of them said that when you see someone for so long, for all these years, and then in a flash that person is no more, you kind of feel a shock and you feel something has changed, and then you need time to process your emotions. And of course, in a world of social media, in a world of instant information, that is sometimes not possible because you receive instant information from everywhere, from news outlets and from random creators
Hmm.
who also furthered this notion that Wikipedia entry was done one day before his death and there is a conspiracy. Because these kind of, when incidents happen, you need time for investigation, but emotional answers are very quick. So you just kind of know something, or you feel that this can happen, and if you have the power to publish something on social media, you do that. And many people actually feel that it could be true, who don't have that kind of information literacy, what we call. Because even my father came to me and said that, do you know what is Wikipedia? He didn't know what is Wikipedia. And he said, I'm seeing these videos where people are saying Wikipedia entry was already updated before his death. And then I
Okay.
opened the history, because Wikipedia is a transparent website, so they update all the changes real time. So I opened the history, showed him that this was updated at 4 a.m., and that 4 a.m. was actually UTC. So it's not
Oh,
Indian Standard Time, it's the Greenwich one, and that's why if you add 5.5 hours, it comes down to 8:18, 8:15 when it was officially announced that he is dead. So that kind of affects a lot of people, and then they think on these conspiracies, and it's overwhelming as well for them. So yeah, there were a lot of different reactions, and I would now come to you. Like, what did you observe throughout this week, and have you spoken with some people? What was their reaction?
yeah. Okay. So, I like you said, Ajit Pawar was quite an influential figure in politics for, especially for Maharashtra and for India as well. Many leaders also commented on it, and although I was not. I mean, we are still in our 20s, so maybe that effect is not as relevant to us as it is for our parents or for the people who are maybe in the millennial generation. But even my parents commented on this, saying that he was quite a dynamic figure who, really did stuff for people, and hence his death was a very shocking kind of incident for a lot of people. Now, I think for some people whose life he really touched, whom he really helped, for them it was much more devastating than for us or for my parents maybe. But everybody that I have spoken to about this has not said anything quite negative about him. Mostly the things that I've heard about him were, all of them were positive. They were very sad of his demise and how it happened also. But I think one thing that I found very weird in all of this was how the conspiracy theory started rolling out right after his death news
Yeah,
got out, because it was, people were still mourning over how his demise happened, because it was an unfortunate incident. It happened in Baramati, where he has
yeah,
worked
yeah.
so much. So it was very unfortunate that it happened in that manner. And in all of this, when his close people, when politicians from all over India, people from all over India were mourning his death, there was the other side of internet, other side of news reporting, where conspiracy theories about how maybe somebody plotted it, how Wikipedia updated his death even like before it was announced. So that was kind of sad to watch while it happened. That was my point of view. The first time that I came across, when we also spoke, the first thing that came across was the feeling of sadness, because you did not give people who actually are sad about his death enough time to mourn, and you are literally immediately moving forward and thinking about why, how did this happen, what is the conspiracy, what is the weird, how did Wikipedia find it out, who did it, which party maybe is plotting against him. So
Yeah.
stuff like this kind of
Also,
is
also,
sad.
I was also surprised that everyone kind of agreed that he was one of the most corrupt
Yeah.
politician, but he did the work. So, I mean, you
Yes.
talk about this dynamic personality that you said. So, this is also very surprising for me because everyone
Yeah.
did talk about that. Okay, his scams were like
Yeah.
huge compared to any other scams, but he still did the work. So,
Yeah.
I mean,
And
it's
many of my
interesting.
friends, in fact,
Yeah,
like people, even the people who are of our age or in their probably like later 20s, maybe even they were saying the same thing, that he was probably corrupt and he had a lot of scams to his name, but he was a person who did the work and who worked for the people, who helped a lot of people out. So that is what I've heard. I mean,
yeah,
so yeah, it was
yeah.
quite.
Vedanta, like, why do you think this phenomenon exists? First of all, like celebrities, you often talk about this. Why do you give so much importance to celebrities, and why this is even more relevant in India? Because like a big name, if something happens, there is so much reaction and people really feel it. I mean, I'm not doubting their emotion. I'm not saying that it's useless because people can feel something about someone who they have seen on TV, they have seen on their screens. Or obviously, like for a lot of people he has done the work, but anyways, like why do you think that happens? And yeah.
Yeah, so like when we saw that reel of the person talking about Wikipedia, I also saw some stories that his driver or his bodyguard told him that morning that let's not go there today. I'm sensing something weird might happen. Let's postpone this to tomorrow before his flight, which is like ridiculous because politicians have such tight schedules and meetings everywhere that they travel by jets for just like 10 minutes of half an hour of a meeting and then travel somewhere else. So stories like this coming up, it just made me wonder like, why do people do this? Because I had seen this, all of us have seen this when Sushant Singh Rajput also committed suicide, and the official verdict by the hospital, by the investigation agencies, eventually ruled that it was a suicide. And just
Oh,
people just couldn't fathom the fact that just because he's rich, just because he has everything at his disposal, how can someone like that be depressed? There must be something that is wrong, or all of this seems fishy. So then they dragged his girlfriend, then they introduced that drugs angle, there was a black magic angle, maybe the entire Bollywood conspired against him, nepotism, all of that was so.
Yeah.
I was just wondering, why do I don't know about the world, what happens when celebrities in other countries die, what how people react there. I've only seen this in India. So why does this happen in India? So I was reading upon it. There was some research studies, some effect. So there is something called as the proportionality bias. It is like it is a tendency to assume that big events always have big causes. Like it is a cognitive bias that plays an important role in people's tendency to accept conspiracy theories. So
mm,
this is basically like if something big has happened to a big personality or a big event has happened, then there must be a big reason behind it. Like, for example, the 9/11 attacks, people still like Osama bin Laden actually did that attack, took
Yes,
responsibility,
people
but
still
people
think that
still
it was
have
an
hangings
inside
for
job.
it. That no, it
mm,
was done by Bush, or a
Yeah.
lot of big events throughout history, or a lot of big deaths throughout history. Because of this is something known as this is an effect. that when something big happens, people just assume that there must have been something big that caused it. And then I started reading as to why like this happens, and basically all of this points towards the fact that people like randomness or something
Oh.
coincidences scare people. So if a sudden death occurs to someone big, that makes people realize that anything can happen at any given time. There is no specific pattern, there is no specific rules that you can follow to live a safe life, and that scares people. That is why people try to find another angle to it, because if someone did it, some a murderer did it, he had an angle, there is a story, and in that story people can find a comfort that hey, it actually happened for a reason. But if you start explaining to people that this is random, we don't know the explanation behind it, we don't know why it happened, it just happened because of an accident, there is like nothing that could have controlled it, controlled that incident, there is no person, there is no power that could have prevented it from happening. If you start explaining that to people, people just can't accept the fact that there is no pattern to human life or our existence. And that is why people eventually start to find uh, some kind of a reason behind, like, because this happened. And another reason why I believe people don't trust the investigation process, especially in India, is because our system is so flawed and it rewards money and power even if you have done something illegal so much that even if the official verdict of an investigation has come out that
Yeah,
this
people won't
happened,
believe that. Like,
happened,
yeah.
people are just like, we don't trust you because you clearly always favor the rich and the powerful.
Oh.
So, like, because the system has failed us so much on so many occasions, people have also lost faith in our police or in our justice system, in our law system, and basically everything. So, that also could be another reason why Indians just don't want to accept uh, something that has been
Also,
officially declared.
and on the same lines, so there was another thing that again my father shared with me, that there's a person who in I think January or December 2025 or January said that this is a very bad time, and from 26 Jan to something 4 Feb, don't travel via plane, and it's going to be a bad thing. And then I think this is very true because people will try to find out patterns because they want to understand, and it comes down to, you can't handle conflict for a lot of time. You
Yeah.
you need to be okay by saying, I don't know this. Sometimes we don't find out the truth. That's okay, but like it's very difficult for people to
Yeah.
understand that. Yeah.
And research also shows that our brain hates incomplete stories. We always
Yeah.
try to find a reason
Yeah.
to fill it. So, like, that is why people rely on conspiracy theories more than to have an explanation rather than believe that it was an accident. And also, when people feel threatened, they always look for a reason or someone to
Oh.
blame because, like, they just cannot accept that, hey, this happened due to an accident. And another reason, because you mentioned that guy or some social media uh, influencers posting about this Wikipedia thing, we also have that inferiority complex right now in this social media age, where we have discussed this in the past, that we are just afraid to say that I don't know. We just feel that if I have an explanation for this reason, if I say something different as compared to what people are saying, it makes us feel superior, it makes us feel
Oh.
important. And that is also what happens in a lot of these cases, where people start coming up with their own theories because they feel that nobody has explored this angle. Let me tell people this. Maybe they'll believe this, and maybe they'll feel that, hey, this guy is onto something. That will give me importance. That will make me feel superior. That is something that has happened big in the social media age a lot, because you see opinions coming from left, right, center, from everywhere, and from all influencers. So, and it's just the fact that, like, people cannot fathom that even celebrities can die. So if a random person dies, like, we also talked about this the other day, that person in Noida drowned and died,
Oh.
and nobody cared to say why that is a conspiracy theories, because like deaths of normal people are accepted, but if a celebrity dies, then we suddenly feel threatened that if such an important person with so much money, with so much wealth, with so much security, if he is even not safe, then like who are we? How are we safe?
Yeah.
But I think it's just we should just accept that we live in a country where you can basically die due to any reason at any given point. A hoarding can fall on you. If it is raining, there might be a loose wire somewhere that you might be electrocuted. Infrastructure might fail you. A
And
bridge
these
may
are
collapse.
real stories, by the way.
Yeah.
Both of them happened in Pune
Yeah,
itself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can die due
Yeah.
to medical delays in hospitals. Women in this country are raped and killed just for speaking out. Lower caste people are killed just for speaking out. So I think it's time we accepted that living in India, you can die a random death at any given point. And at this point, common citizens, if you accept that common citizens are not safe, just accept that even celebrities are not safe until the
But
system and the government and the infrastructure also improves.
I don't want to dwell too much on this point, but again, like even when you're saying that in India people can die, so I have a bit of a problem in the structuring again, because I mean, it's the same thing that you're also doing, right? When you're reading all these bad things and then collecting all this information and then uh, pointing, like taking this information and then concluding this, that in India anyone can die at any point of time by I mean, there is of course some truth to it, but when you say that, we often alienate a lot of people who do care about the country, and they do feel that okay, we are doing good, or or we also, like, it's there's a term called fear mongering as well. Like, when you say something like this, we instill fear in people that yeah, India is a dangerous place, but it's again not the case. Yes, a lot of bad things happen, but we can't say that. And I don't want I mean, maybe you can try to restructure it in other episodes. There is of course truth to it again, but I don't like it when we directly conclude this big
Mm.
statement
Mm.
without actually having enough proof to back that up. You can back that up by all the incidences, but again, I mean,
Yeah,
in
but
other countries,
there are reports that the most number of road accidents happen in India compared to any
yeah,
other
again,
country. There are
it's
reports
like
on it. And
causation correlation,
yeah,
right? Again, like
yeah, but in this context, I am not
yeah,
saying that my conclusion is not that living in India is dangerous, you can die at any point. My conclusion is that people should just start accept that if normal people can die randomly at any point due to random things, it can also happen with celebrities. There need not be a conspiracy angle behind it. We
yeah,
should just accept that and move on. That is my point. I'm not saying it's
Yeah, I
dangerous
think the
to live in India,
acceptance
move
of
out of
death
the
is the
country.
main thing,
yeah,
because it's not about India. I think people worldwide, we can say that anyone can die. The
Yeah,
rate, the people
exactly.
dying with heart attacks has increased a lot lately. That can be the cause of your death. Anything can be the cause of your death. Of
Yeah.
course, it's not about India. That what you said, Avnish, makes total sense. We should not should not do fear mongering
yeah,
in the minds of people.
and the
Makes
last
sense.
sentence that Vedant spoke, that is like the correct one, and I
Right,
think
right.
that
Yeah, so
makes
my
too much.
entire
Yeah,
maybe I lack to give the context, but my point was that just start move like
yeah,
accept
Yeah.
and move on.
accepting the things can
Yeah,
happen.
Don't
yeah.
try to find reasons behind everything. It's easy
I
to
think,
die.
yeah, but I think one of the main reasons, just to go back on what you said, one of the main reasons why people probably can't accept deaths of people who are probably in an influential sort of
Positions,
position
yeah.
is because I don't think we have a very structured source, which is a very reliable source from where we can know exactly whether this person has died or is alive or is injured in case of an accident. But whatever has happened with that person, we don't know a very concrete kind of source that will tell us this. And if that came to be in the news reporting, in the journalistic, in that circle, if we had a concrete source and people would know that this is the source that you have to believe if you want to know the real truth, if you want to know whether whatever has happened with that person, then probably this the whole situation that happened right now and has happened multiple times before, like you said with Sushant Singh Rajput, it has happened even when people have gotten into accidents or with affairs and stuff like that. Some celebrities seen with some other guy, so stuff like this happens all the time, but we never know what kind of source you have to trust when some news like this gets out, and it does not take 1 second for hundred thousands of meme channels to start to sensationalize all of this information.
Yeah.
Because so many times I have seen that I have read the information that has come right from the source. Probably a celebrity has themselves said that this thing is the right, is the truth, and I have seen some other meme channel or some wannabe news channel come out and say the exact opposite thing. And I think that the people who follow meme channels are lot more susceptible to believing this information that they are putting out than them going to the actual source of the information, or going to the actual interview or statement that the person has released and believing it, that yeah, this information is the true information. Because we had discussed this in our previous episode as well, that people immediately believe whatever comes directly to them on social media. And unfortunately, we have completely surpassed a concrete source of information. So maybe if we had a body for this sort of news to come out, where influential people, politicians, something where only real truth will come out, and that will be the information that has to be trusted by everybody. Or even if the family had to give a bite, and only that information would be trusted, then maybe
So that
this problem
that
would
comes down,
subside.
yeah, your point comes down to like the whole fourth pillar structure, right?
Right,
But I mean
right.
that's missing. That's clearly missing, and that's why there is scope for these kind of
Yeah,
conspiracies online, and
yeah.
yeah,
I think
and
this goes back to when I think even Subhash Chandra Bose, when he died in a plane crash, even that information is still being circulated,
yeah,
saying that he's
that
probably alive.
he was still alive,
And
and
Yeah,
yeah,
even
after,
and
even Michael Jackson, that he faked his
yeah,
death. Like,
exactly.
people have
yeah, so
always
So many
done
things.
this.
Even for Hitler, we've seen it happen time and again, where people have, come up with the conspiracy theory angle. I fully understand, because of all of the things that Vedant said. It makes total sense that when people come face to face with an information that is as big as this, they try to find a reason that is just as big. So that makes total sense. But what I think might subside this blow up probably a little bit is when we know that the source of information is correct, and that is heavily lacking right
and
now.
I think one more reason probably why people believe that there is a conspiracy is because there is, like, I think there are some previous examples
Hmm.
where the leaders have done something like this, world leaders, and then that remote possibility exists,
Hmm.
and that's why also people believe that. I mean, you look at, for example, in USA, when they killed Osama, and
Hmm.
then the truth came out that he was part of the USA plan itself, and he was the result of USA involvement in creating mercenaries in Afghanistan and other Middle East and Persian states. I mean, if you read something like that and if you watch something like that, it's like very possibility, like there is a possibility in your brain that you take that information and then conclude a completely different thing by taking the proof as the previous information itself. So also because there is a possibility of someone doing something like this, that's also a reason why people tend to believe that there is something at play here that we don't see, because world leaders have often done that. They have done
Hmm.
something that common citizens just don't know, and then
Yeah.
that comes out after 20-25 years, and then we feel stupid about it, like, what are these kind of people like? And yesterday I was talking to Vedant, like we feel that these leaders that we all have in the world are like these super intelligent competent beings, but they might just be stupid, and they might just be like, all of them might just be stupid enough to just be with, like, coexist with
Yeah.
themselves. If there is someone very very intelligent, probably like he might just end everyone. So I mean, could be a possibility, again, like that possibility exists, and that's why our
Yeah.
brains and whatever Vedant said, they we tend to believe all that.
And I think here
Mm.
journalism is very important. If a hardcore journalist is trying to dig out information like this, or if a politician has probably plotted something against some other politician, and if a journalist is at it, then probably this won't happen. But again,
Yeah.
like we said, the fourth pillar is really
And
collapsing.
even like, do you remember the Jamal Khashoggi incident? Like he was reporting against the Saudi prince
Oh,
and all the bad things he has done, and he was actually killed. And that is like a very open thing. But so if you know all of these things, it's very easy to uh, you know put that information up and then
yeah,
assume that whatever happens with a big celebrity who was like big enough to influence political decisions, there might be something behind the scenes. But
yeah,
again, yeah, I mean, it's of no use, and we can't really believe that unless reports come up. And it's okay to wait for it. It's okay to be stupid and believe that world is straightforward, and then once the information comes out, change your opinion and say, all right, okay, that
yeah,
was this.
yeah,
And I think one of the major reactions was also about online, which I also saw the post, and I would like you to share that post. It was about the co-pilot who was a woman, and she was targeted a lot by people on X, people on Instagram. So we'll talk about that, why that also happens. So yeah, Zui, you
yeah.
can just like share your experience for.
Yeah, so I shared that post with you guys. I read it online. There were a bunch of tweets about it. There was a bunch of online, outrage about all of that, and it all started from when sometime like long ago, Ajit Pawar had uh, put out a statement. It was a tweet or it was a statement, but he had said that if a plane or if my jet has landed safely, then I would assume that it's a female pilot.
Hmm, hmm,
So
yeah,
he had said it,
yeah.
which means that he's very pro female pilots and he thinks that it is safer probably to fly with them. He must have had some experience. We don't know, but it is his statement. After his death, um, when people found out that the co-pilot was a lady, they started um, saying the most horrible things online about her and about how women should not be put in positions like these because they belong in the kitchen or they don't belong in high
The
stake
traditional
situations.
things that
Yes,
we all,
yes.
yeah.
So they said a lot of very horrible things like these online. um I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is how a woman's image is so very, so it's so fragile, that people will, like, the first thing that comes to minds of the people is to tarnish it. The very first thing that they will do is that. But the second thing that came to mind is that Ajit Pawar has died, this co-pilot has died, four other people have died, but all of this outrage is for that one thing that Ajit Pawar has said, like, whenever, and people have held to it and they have said that, oh, this person who's died is wrong about females because he trusted them.
And to
And
even
it's
go and
so
find that out,
ridiculous.
first of all, like how much do you have to
Exactly.
think on that? Yeah.
Exactly. They found out that a woman
A tweet,
pilot
yeah.
was there, a co-pilot was a woman, and they went back to whenever he said that, they got it, like they resurfaced that information and they started a whole different argument about how females shouldn't be given high stake jobs and they shouldn't be given any job that a male would do much better, and the argument suddenly becomes about this. And it's just saddening. I mean, my first reaction was, obviously, as a woman, it is very, very disheartening to look at people be so horrible and distasteful when they say stuff like this about a co-pilot, by the way. To
Yeah.
say so, because the pilot was a man, and the man is not held accountable in all of this at all. I'm not saying that he should be. There was a technical error because of which all of this happened. But the first suspect that the people start targeting is a female who is a co-pilot
Yeah.
and who is 100% on a better position, much higher rank than anyone who's tweeted online about all of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's kind of very, it's quite sad when I look at all of this online outrage about these things. I cried because it was so bad,
Mm,
and that's when I shared it with you guys, because it's just the first thing that woman is targeted always happens in all of the situations. So people are always looking for a chance to point a finger at a woman and say that she's not capable, and that's why this has happened, instead of really going for a cause. So yeah, that was one thing that happened in all of this
mm.
ruckus. So
So, why did you feel so emotional? Do you feel that like when someone speak or when someone talks like this about women or a woman, that they're not just targeting that woman, but they're also targeting like the uh, female gender that
yeah,
she represents?
yeah, most definitely, because even in all of those hate comments, it wasn't just that these people said that this woman was in the wrong position, or
Mm,
had the wrong job. They constantly targeted women in general, saying that they don't belong in roles such as these, and they only belong in the kitchen. I have literally read comments like this, that women belong in the kitchen. And this is just one of the incidences, because we are talking about the death of Ajit Pawar, and because we're talking about this plane crash. But I have heard comments like these passed on to me, even if it is not in a very serious sense. But people have said this, people have said that you don't belong in this job, you belong in the kitchen. Women should not work as much, women should not do this, women should not do that, because it's a male's job, it's a man's job. A man can do it better. I have heard it myself. We know thousands of incidences where something like this has happened. We know that women have been targeted, and of course it feels personal, because I know that someday, like, the best woman in this world would, if she does the smallest mistake that is the usual for a man, then she will be hunted for it. And that's very sad. Like,
mm,
it does not
yeah,
sit
no,
right
no,
with me.
yeah,
And maybe I get too emotional about all of this, and I cannot say the right things that I want to say. But it's a very emotional space overall,
yeah.
because I have been in that place, I have seen other women be in that place.
So, what you are saying, the situation in India is very complex because, when you say they, I know that you actually mean some segment of men who are quite
Hmm.
influenced by the manosphere
Hmm.
theories. And manosphere is like a organized system where a lonely man is taken in and then he's sort of fed self-improvement tips, and the next level goes on to basically convince him that gender roles should exist. That's the like the gist of it. And when it comes to that, social media algorithms play a lot of role. It plays a huge role, and I want to talk about it, but like I just gave this context for what you were talking about, or for uh, about whom you were talking about.
Hmm.
But yeah, I'll just get Vedant to speak here about what he
Yeah.
feels, and then I'll continue. Yeah.
Yeah, so when I also saw the tweets and the comments, I just thought that, because we've discussed this on so many times, that it's just generalization based on probably one or two incidences these people have seen in their lives. Most of it was two things, like, she was a women pilot, as she said that how can a woman be in this big high stakes situation? And the second one was women can't drive, or women are
Hmm.
bad with these things where hand-eye coordination, all of that is needed. But it's just hypocrisy, because when operations in those debriefing was done by two females, the colonel and the wing commander, everyone praised that. Everyone was like, hey, yeah, India is
Yeah.
so good. Females are being, but when something like this happens, it's just so easy to blame. So because all of this is generalization, I thought maybe I should just go and check some reports. I'll mention like Avnish will mention the sources for these reports in the description. But I'll just read out some numbers and I'll try to generalize something which may sound as ridiculous as something that these people do. So I read reports that up to 80% of aviation accidents happen due to human error. Now, out of those human errors, out of those 80%, 53% are accounted for pilot errors. Out of all the accidents that have happened, 53% have happened due to pilot errors. Now, talking specifically about India's context, I read this from a report that there are a total of 11,775 pilots in India, which is, I think, for commercial airlines. Out of that, 10,000 are male pilots, 1,767 are women pilots, which is 15% of the total. And mind you, India has the highest, like India has 15% of female pilots compared to the global average of just 5%. So India actually employs a lot of female pilots compared to other countries. Now, just to generalize, if you take into the fact that 85% of the pilots are male, so that means that almost all of the crashes, most of the crashes that have happened must have been due to male pilots because female pilots are not there, male pilots are there. So if by going by these people's logic, if a plane crashes where male pilots have contributed to more crashes than female pilots, then that means you cannot trust male pilots also. Then what is your point? That you just cannot sit in an aircraft? Like i- if a female cannot drive, then a male cannot drive either, because then so many of the crashes have been because of male pilots. So this generalization, I just wanted to use these numbers to just show stupid how this generalization logic works. And the second fact that females cannot drive, this just comes from a stereotype. As I said, maybe someone has seen one or two incidences, because if you go by reports, I read two reports. One is for Delhi's road crash report, the other is for Mumbai's road safety reports. I'll mention the sources so everyone can go check it out for themselves. According to Delhi road crash report, male drivers were responsible for majority of the fatal crashes in Delhi, and only 1% of the drivers at fault were female. According to the Mumbai safety report as well, male drivers have been found at fault in most fatal crashes over the last few years, according to the city's road safety data. And data also shows that male drivers are more reckless and women drivers actually follow more rules when it comes to wearing helmets or following the signals and stuff like that. So even going by your generalization logic, it's stupid because the numbers actually prove you wrong. Even if you want to generalize that, okay, maybe I read this in this report that female drivers are actually worse driver than male. Even there you're wrong because no report actually says that. All the report says that male driver are at fault. Then why are you actually not blaming male drivers as well? Because as she said, it's just easy to blame female drivers, or it's just easy to blame women in general. So I just wanted to point this out because I actually took some time out and researched all of this and just how stupid this generalization thing works. And
Yeah.
maybe people see this and realize that actually rely on some data, actually research, and then bring up your generalization theories if you want.
So, and this ties back to the complexity of Indian society that I was talking about. So, the manosphere thing, it is like a very big reality because, like, just remember Andrew Tate, for example, who used to come on our reels, or any kind of creator who just talks about how traditional gender roles are the ones that have to be kept. And that's like the extreme manosphere thing. But that extreme manosphere theory is also very normally accepted in average households in India. If you maybe remove some urban, middle class, middle class, well educated society, if you remove that, still a lot of these theories are quite accepted in Indian society. And I don't mean it to like, I don't feel like people who accept these theories are bad or they want women to suffer. It's not that, it's just many people uh, have just accepted this because because in their community the powerful accept this. So it
Hmm.
takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of efforts, it takes a lot of education awareness to make people realize that even if, okay, all right, there are few differences between male and female genders can be physically weaker than men, but then our systems should not be structured in this way where you differentiate or you separate these genders more, but rather we have the capacity to create systems that equalize both genders. Then why this is not a better case that all right, in some cases women can't actually compete physically with men, so let's design systems where they are helped. In some cases men can't do something that women do, so then let's equalize the systems and allow men who want to pursue something that a woman can do better than them, if it is scientifically proven, then let's do that. But then these messages are not given, and that's why we do see the driving thing as well. We do see husband wife jokes, we do see
Mm.
people forwarding women bad women driver jokes still. And a lot of the times people get over it because it is so common that a
Mm.
woman is a butt of the joke woman, and that joke is mostly incompetency.
Mm.
So no one will make a joke about incompetency and the butt of the joke is a man, because that's how the society functions. It is that complex in Indian society where sometimes you might feel that this hate for women or these thinking about gender roles exist only online, but it is also accepted in Indian societies because we have that, like we have still not come away from our traditions and our cultures. But then having said that, I will also say that the things that happen on X and on Instagram are not a reflection of our society.
Mm.
It is still some men who are like who have found a voice in those algorithms amplify this. So we have to
Mm.
understand, like, it's also not this, it's also not completely this. It's quite complex, and if you want to tackle this issue, we have to first of all tackle it head on by saying that this is like a manosphere group exists, and it is supplemented or it is helped by our traditions, it is helped by our culture. And then a lonely person or lonely man or a man that is rejected romantically is fed with all this, like, okay, look at, and I'll tell you all the pointers, like, oh, women, because of feminism, women are now not marrying good men because they are just having all the choices, and that's ruining our country because we are not having enough children who are going to take this country forward. Then there's this, like, okay, men have to work so hard now. A woman can ask about a salary, but a man can't ask about a salary. So we don't realize that the men who are suffering through this, they are suffering not because women are now empowered. They're suffering because the patriarchal system or the system that we have is still imposing all these things on you. So it is a disparity issue, it is a class issue more than a man versus
Mm.
women issue, and that needs to be taken care of. If there is a plane crash, it's not because a man did it or a female pilot did it. It's because there was a failure in the plane, and if plane crashes are happening often, then we have to look at the system and who is
Mm.
like building this system, who is keeping the system in check more than the individual errors
Mm.
that are happening. So yeah, I mean, this is a complex thing that we have to understand, and we have to like um deconstruct it fabric by fabric, like one thread
Mm.
after another, because it's not an issue that can be just quickly summed up in one sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else? It's
No,
all right.
that's about
So
it.
we've kind of managed it in time. 44 minutes. It's quite all right. I thought
Yeah.
that this will go on, but yeah, information like this and something big happens. It's always it does affect people, and maybe some people just like will scroll away from it and not think on it that much. But a lot of people in India will be, like we said in the last episode, that if you receive information, any kind of information, your brain, it's like a natural process for you. Like you will think on what action I can take from this information, and in this era, we receive so much information that sometimes we just don't know what action we should be
Yeah.
taking because there's not enough time to analyze and cope and accept how I feel about this information, because instantly we've already received the second one. Because the Ajit Pawar thing happened quickly the UGC issue is
Mm.
already in the headlines. So it's
Yeah.
like we have not even coped up with what is happening here, and all whatever people are saying. And this is a new issue, and then after
Mm.
this, there's going to be a new issue, and then there's going to be climate change issue, and then going to be our how our food is ruining us issue. So it's something that we have to all tackle together. And
Yeah.
all right, yeah, thank you, Zoe, thank you, Vedant, for joining. And I'll mention the sources that Vedant also mentioned. If you like this episode, do subscribe, and we'll meet until next time.